Hey everyone, what's up? It's LeRon here, back for another episode of Boss Rush After Dark, and of course, always beside me is the one, the only Stephanie Klimov tonight. What's up?
I am here, and my son is in the bathroom pooping.
Okay.
What's
you
up?
know what? Glamorous. Okay.
Oh, I threw him off! Yes!
Yes, you did. So you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and introduce our special guest for tonight's episode. A lot of you already know her from doing the rounds of Boss Rush Network, but it is the wonderful, the pleasant, the always amazing Celeste Roberts here from the 1v1 podcast show with us tonight.
Gosh, I'm always wonderful and always pleasant. Oh, LeRon,
Yeah.
we need to hang out more.
How's it going? It's been a long time since I think either one of us has been on a podcast with you. Like, it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has been. The last one I did with either of you would be the Firewatch Talk the Walk with Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had some meetings where I've been able to talk with you, LeRon. So, yeah, we're like two ships in the night.
And I think the last Crossroads episode you were on was the one when we were talking about sexist-ass gamers and the treatment of Aloy after the reveal of Horizon
Yes.
Forbidden West.
Yes.
How's it been? Just real quick for people who may not be familiar with you, just give yourself a brief introduction about who you are, what you do.
Well, I'm Celeste. I am part of the Boss Rush Network. I joined about 2 years ago, around the same time LeRon joined.
Yep.
I'm a part of another Zelda podcast. I'm the blog editor and co-producer. Truly, David Geisler there does all the editing and heavy lifting. Stephanie is a contributing writer and contributing podcaster on there as well.
I need to write my article.
I have the date on Asana, Stephanie, so I'm going to be coming after you.
I'm nervous. I'm running out of ideas, but keep going.
No, it's okay. We'll have backup. LeRon will write an article about Zelda for us.
I will. Okay,
No,
sure.
I'm just kidding.
Sure.
I'm just kidding. And then with Boss, and then 2 years ago, Boss Rush had reached out to see if I wanted to guest on an episode of Nintendo Pow Block, and the rest is history. Now I am mainly on the 1v1 interview podcast where we interview all kind of cool people, and I help Eddie V with Talk the Walk, where we discuss walking simulators, visual novels, like a little book club.
Which is actually pretty awesome too. I like the format.
Yeah, what you got to come on one.
We need to. I guess I need to pay attention to what you guys are going to be like showcasing or talking about, because I think you guys mentioned there was one of them and I was like, oh, I want to get on this, but I can't remember which one it was. So
Is it spooky?
I think it is. I think it is one of the spooky games.
Is it Sagebrush?
Not that one. No.
Is it Detroit Become Human?
That one. That's not spooky, but yeah, that's the one.
Yes. We are covering that one in December of 2022.
December. Oh, I have plenty of time then. I need to play it before Callisto Protocol comes out in December.
There's so many games and so little time. I still haven't beaten Stray. I've
That damn cat game.
I love it. I just don't have time during the week.
Well, thank you. Welcome to After Dark. I feel like your cherry's getting burst tonight.
It's that kind of show.
I say that in the nicest of ways. Nothing creepy about this one.
No. I was telling my boyfriend Timmy I was going to be on it. He goes, "Are you going to talk about sex? Are you going to talk about our sex life on?"
You can.
No. I'm I will say, I know this wasn't a topic we brought up, but I told Stephanie about it. And I think I told you, LeRon, or at least told the Boss Rush chat. I love the show on Netflix, How to Build a Sex Room.
I have heard a whole bunch of stuff about this show. I have not watched an episode yet, but I've heard that it's one part intriguing and one part hilarious.
Yes. Did you watch it yet, Stephanie? Have you seen any episodes?
Haven't had a second.
No, it's okay. It's I think it's about 10 episodes. It's season 1, and it's very wholesome. It is the most wholesome sex-related show I have ever watched in my life.
Wholesome and sex. I don't know. I don't know if that even makes, like goes together.
The host is like the Mary Poppins of sex rooms. She is an professional interior designer. For
Hmm.
like, I think she's been one for like 20 years. And for the last 10 years, she has been designing sex rooms when a client approached her to see if she could design one. But she explains the different types of toys. She explains the logic and the psychology behind the different colors and the
Mm.
lighting and why she's picking these kinds of pictures and why things are going in certain areas of the room. It's not dirty, and there are different types of couples, and there's a
Like she's
single
actually
lady.
approaching it from a business standpoint, right? Not to be like, haha, funny
It's
sex.
it's exactly it's like there are some tongue-in-cheek moments, but you don't see anything inappropriate. I mean, I wouldn't have your children watch this show with you.
Yeah.
Um, but it's very empowering too, because there are like some couples who are going through a bit of a dry spell because they have work and they have kids, and she stresses the importance of making sure to connect with your partner like that as often as you can.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Sounds interesting. It's on my watch list. I don't know when I'm getting. I don't know when I'm getting. Would I'll be able to get to that? But like depending on how the summer goes, like how the rest of the summer goes, like we'll see. Because I just got through binging a show, it's an FX show, but it came straight to Hulu. It's called The Bear. It's a
I heard
show.
that's
It
good.
it's a show about a top-rated chef who winds up taking over his family business after his brother dies and stuff like that. And it's a good show, but oh my god, it is intense because man, it's like everybody is just like, oh, it's everybody's like a toxic dumpster fire basically. Like, the main characters is like, it's like, man, like I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack watching this show. Like it's so good though. Like eight episodes. Like it's I think most of them are under 40 minutes. Like I think the longest episode is like 38 minutes, and with the exception of the finale was pretty long. Finale was a little over 40 episodes. 40 minutes. God, over 40 hours, 40 episodes. Yeah, but it's good. Like, I know some people in this day and age, like they can't sit down and devote like, like an hour of their time to like bingeable TV. In this day and age, I think COVID's kind of ruined that. Actually, I feel like now people get anxiety from sitting in one spot watching the television for so long. When that used to be like the thing to do. But now, but yeah, so the bear, like, if you like shows that revolve around cooking and stuff like that, like definitely, that's a thing. I enjoyed it. I can't wait for the second season. I think my boyfriend said it has been renewed for a second season already, but I'm not sure. And all 8 episodes are out. Like they just dropped the entire season. Like because Hulu is weird like that. Like some shows they drop the whole season, and other shows it's like episode by episode.
Hmm. It sounds good. I've heard a lot of people rave about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can definitely say it's pretty good.
What about you, Stephanie? Have you been able to watch anything or movie or old like reruns of shows you enjoy or YouTube shows? Oh no, my friend.
Microphone.
Thank you. I said nope. Sorry, I had to mute my microphone because I had to scold my son for not washing his hands after pooping.
Oh,
And he thinks it's funny. Ah, anyway,
When he gets
I
pink eye, it won't be funny.
yeah. Maybe I should just let him have pink eye. I wouldn't. I'm not a bad parent. I did see Thor: Love and Thunder, but I think I mentioned that like a week or two ago. That was I was pleasantly surprised, and the humor was great.
hmm.
Other than that, I watched nothing because of the chaos. But I get to listen to Let's Plays of Legend of Zelda while I'm working because that's what my son watches while I'm working.
That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
he finds the imprisoned really funny.
The
It
what?
The imprisoned. It's like this doofus-looking monster in Skyward Sword. He's like, it's that ugly. It's the monster with the ugly toes and no arms.
Okay, okay.
yes.
See, he's laughing right now. He thinks it's
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
He's ridiculous looking. He kind of looks like an artichoke with toes.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture, LeRon. But anyway, so
Okay.
unfortunately, it's been a bit boring. But game wise, I beat Stray. The next game I want to start is Death's Door because I know Corey wants to really do a spoiler cast on that.
Awesome.
Don't mind me. I'm just curating some notes.
So is Death's Door like an RPG? Is it an adventure game?
It's some would say it's like a very much of like I don't want to call it Zelda-like because that's probably triggering to call things Zelda-like, but it's one of those games that if you're having an itch to play Zelda, Death's Door is a really great game to play. It's I believe it's an isometric 2D adventure game, and you play as this crow that has like this bureaucratic office job, and you need to literally collect souls and open up Death's Door. But I don't know much about that because I'm trying to not spoil it for myself. But it's like one of those games you want to play if you want to play a Zelda game while you're waiting for Breath of the Wild 2.
I'm just saying, when Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, you might not see me or hear from me for a little while.
Same. It's all right. We'll both disappear.
We'll go to each other's houses and just play Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
There he
Wow.
is.
Oh, I just saw the pic. Wow, what is that?
Right? Isn't it the ugliest monster you've ever seen?
And what is this again?
It's called the Imprisoned. You have to fight that thing 3 times in the game. 3 times. I hate when bosses repeat, especially if it's a terrible fight. See those ugly ass toes?
Yeah.
Oh, I better not swear when my son's next to me. You have to chop up those marshmallow toes. Then he falls down. Then you... Do you hear my kid laughing?
Yeah.
And you have to hit the spike on his head. Okay, marshmallows. Isn't that funny, dude?
Gosh, that was a little annoying in Skyward Sword, I have to admit. I mean, I just dealt with it, but it's like, oh my God, will he just die, please?
Oh, I just had to fight him when I was playing Skyward Sword a little bit before my son's bath time, and it was annoying because in the second fight he grows arms, so when he falls down he's too wide to just run around him to hit the spike on his head, so you have to go down and then go up through the vents. But yes, it was too late. I missed the timing twice because the first air geyser like only went up halfway through his body, so I couldn't like make it to the ledge, and I kept dropping. So by the time I took the next vent, I had to run all the way back to the prison. By the time I got to the spike and about to hit it, the monster stands up again. I'm like, oh.
I love your son's frustration. I can hear it.
Yeah.
So I played Stray the night it came out, and then I played a little bit this past Saturday. So I'm not done yet, but are you happy with it, Stephanie?
Happy with Skyward Sword?
Stray, the whole
Stray,
thing.
I'm sorry, because my brain's thinking too. So even though I'm not talking to you, kiddo. Even though I rated Stray very highly on my review, I do think looking at it with the size of the team that they had, it was a tightly made, well executed game. However, the ending, it wasn't bad. It just was, I wish there was more. Like that, I was just kind of like, oh, that's it?
I've been avoiding spoilers. Now I'm curious.
Well, that's not to discourage you. Like, it's still a solid end and a solid game with a ending. It's just, I was like, I mean, you can kind of guess, right? Like you're a cat that's trying to escape the city. Odds are the end of the game has something to do with escaping the city. Like that's kind of like logicking out the end. But I feel, and the reason why I didn't like let that impact a negative score on the review is they marketed this game for you to experience what it's like to be a cat. You have a meow button, you scratch things, you take cat naps, you knock things over, you disrupt games, you're a jerk to, well, I would say humans, but they're AI. And that's what they marketed as, so I judged it based off that. Yes, I am talking about Stray.
I like to trip over one of the robots. That was fun while he's walking.
Yeah. Oh, now my son's like has something to say. He loves Stray.
Oh yeah.
The story, the whole dystopian post-apocalyptic thread is very like surface level. Like it's not horrible. It's not cliche. It's a little cliche. So like it's just kind of maintained that throughout the entire. How far are you again?
Okay, I wrote up an elevator.
Any
I'm trying.
eyeballs yet?
No.
All right, I will not expand on said eyeballs, but there are certain
Okay.
things. It's like you started it. How come you didn't like keep on with it or follow up with it? There's so much I want to know about it, but I just feel like because of how they marketed the game and because it's a very small developer, Blue 12 Studios, I
Mhm.
don't think they had the capacity to make it a story-rich game. I mean, if you put this in the hands of like a Sony or a larger
Mhm.
developer, I beat this game in 4 hours. This could easily be like a 20-hour game if they expanded on the plot more.
Hmm.
I mean,
I know I have to go to the sewer. That's the next step.
have fun.
Sewers are always bad noise. In Resident Evil 2, they're bad. So I'm just waiting.
Yeah,
I don't like the Zurks.
Darks. Yeah, I don't like them either.
I think the monster that's silly.
He's still talking about the imprisoned.
Because the imprisoned is ridiculous.
But okay, shh. I'm trying to be professional here. So I mean, I would love to know what your thoughts are once you get through the sewer and make it to Midtown. Like, reach out to me. I want to talk about what you encountered in the sewer. But I would just keep focusing on your experience as the cat and try not to get too invested in the story because
It seems
remember,
a little light. Yeah, it
yeah.
seems very surface level, which, you know.
I know I'm talking in circles, but I'm clearly have a distraction next to me that someone's gonna go to bed.
He is the youngest participant of After Dark, I think.
Yeah, it's a little inappropriate,
He's-
but don't worry, he will
I
be
think
sent to
he's-
bed shortly.
I think he's the youngest participant at any of our shows, actually.
Anyway,
What you got going on, LeRon?
I'm sorry, I was just curating some notes.
oh, you're still doing that? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm sorry. You guys are having fun, so thank you for continuing the conversation.
Did you see that I think y'all have seen this. Someone or a few people have superimposed their cat as the cat in Stray.
Yes, there are mods where people can do that, which I think is awesome. I think that's a cool mod. There's another one. Have you played Heavy Rain, Celeste?
Not yet. I have it on my list.
So
Heavy Rain is a good one.
it's really good. And in the beginning, the father loses his son in the crowd and he has to look for him. But it's always been kind of like a running joke to anyone who's played the game. The son's name is Jason, just the way the father calls out the son because there's a button for you to call. It's like, Jason! 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 And so someone modded anytime you press the meow button, it's just like an iteration of Jason! Jason!
Do your cats enjoy hearing the meow button?
I'm shocked. Because I saw all these videos of people's cats like obsessively looking at the screen, and my cats didn't give no Fs about this game. And I would point, but they look at my hand, not at the screen.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the game, Paxel did see the cat, and I did get a picture of it, but that's it. Like I was really hoping for them to get engaged. My cats couldn't care less.
Luna was the only cat who cared. She was looking at the game, but Katsuke was just sleeping, just like, oh, whatever.
Celeste, if there were to be, I know we're cat people, but if there were to be another game like Stray, but with another animal, what animal would you want it to be?
So I used to own a hedgehog, but I would love, yes, I used to have a hedgehog. Her name was Maya, precious, precious little baby. And I know there's Sonic, but I'm talking like I want a realistic looking hedgehog game where you get to run through like an English garden or something.
Dude, people go crazy for that. Hedgehogs are really cute.
I loved her. My favorite thing to do was at night, I'd get a blanket and I'd put her on my lap and I'd rock with her. And she'd fall asleep. She'd calm down. She liked taking baths
Shh.
as well.
Nice. I
Mhm.
would like. Oh crap! I just forgot. I had a perfect idea. But what are those flying squirrels? Would be fun. Oh, a raccoon. A raccoon.
Oh,
Like I know we have
yeah.
Donut County, but just the idea of something that's called a trash panda would just be an amazing game to play.
I love that. Oh, what about a panda? An actual panda?
Oh, that'd be so cute. Just lollygagging around the jungle.
What a
Austin Campbell had a question for us on Crossroads because he had a question where basically it was like besides Stray, like what besides a cat from Stray, like what other animal do you think should get their own game? And I said the red panda because they basically look like they basically look like I mean what's the animal they look like? They look like
Raccoons.
they look like ferrets. They look
Ferrets.
like striped ferrets. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like little
Um,
tanookies.
mhm.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
LeRon, speaking of questions, did you get my question for Crossroads yesterday?
No, I did not. I missed it.
This is
I
the
missed it.
second time, Celeste. They're at all these shows. They be asking if you have any questions, send them our way. Once I tweeted out to Nintendo Pal Block, they didn't read my question. I tweeted out to Crossroads Twitter and asked them a question, and they didn't answer it.
I didn't get the notification
That's
for it.
just rude.
I don't feel heard.
Hold on. Let me check right now. I did not. When did you ask this question? What day was it?
Yesterday?
So it would have been for last night's show.
Yes.
Hold on a second, because I'm on the Crossroads feed right now. I don't see it.
Tweets. Let me see.
Yesterday was.
It's at ps_crossroads.
That's right. Yeah.
Question: what games in the PS Summer Sale are y'all getting? I got Ghostwire Tokyo, Arkham Collection, Alien Isolation, Stanley Protocol, and Jedi Fallen Order.
I do not see that question.
At 5:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time yesterday.
5:50 p.m. I do not see this question.
Look right here.
I believe you. It's there. I believe you, but it's funny that. Hold on. Let me see if it's in notifications.
Celeste,
Like,
I'm always
ignoring. He's ignoring you.
Yep. Just like he ignores my texts.
There it goes. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I can try to answer this question tonight, but actually, I wasn't even paying attention to the actual PlayStation Summer Sale. I've got way too many games right now on my plate. So I mean, let me look at the PlayStation Summer Sale. When does it end? When does that sale end?
Oh, not for like August 7th. So you can cover that next week. It's not a big deal.
That also shows how bad I am in keeping track of this stuff. Like if I'm not ready to buy games, I don't keep track of sales.
No, normally I was done with like buying games for the year, and I've been really good actually passing up on sales, but when I was just skimming through it, I actually saw games that I did plan on buying in the future when it went on sale.
Shit, Jedi Fallen Order is $10. That's a deal. That's a deal.
Why I saw like I can't pass up on $10 for Fallen Order.
Yeah, that's a deal. Yeah. All right, yeah. I'm fielding that question for next week. Sorry about that. We appreciate you. You know what? If you want, come back on the show. You have the open invite right now. Come back on the show.
We'll see at what point I am at with this little thing.
Okay. All right. Well, if I could take a moment real quickly here, I want to go ahead and take a moment to shout out our patrons for this particular episode of Boss Rush After Dark. Just so you know, if you're not aware, Boss Rush Network has a Patreon, and when you become a member of our Patreon, a whole assortment of perks will become available to you just for being a patron. For the introductory price of just $1 a month, subscribers can get into the early access tier, which grants you access to the Boss Rush podcast 3 days earlier than when it goes out in the free feeds, as well as Boss Rush After Dark and Standard Definition episodes 2 weeks earlier than the free feeds. We also have a $5 tier, which will get your name mentioned in our producer shout out tier section of the show of each show. On I'm sorry. I kind of got that jumbled up. This is my first time doing it. Corey's always the best at this. But anyway, you'll get your name shout out on the producer section of every show that we have on Boss Rush. And so without further ado, here are our Boss Rush patrons for this episode. First off, we have Quentin Jackson. We also have Rebecca Jewell, Adrian Munger. I gotta do it.
Corey's
wife, Sana Derrick.
Yeah.
We also have Francisco Santillan and Celeste Roberts.
It's me. I'm investing into our podcast network.
As always, we want to say thank you for supporting the Boss Rush Network, and also thank you for helping to produce our shows. If you want to get more information about how to become a patron, head over to www.patreon.com/BossRushNetwork to get all the details and also learn about our third and final tier that we have available to anyone that wants to subscribe. And if you aren't a member of our patron and you're just checking us out on the free feeds, we understand. We love you and appreciate you all the same. So there we have it. All right.
I
Now,
just want you to know, LeRon,
Hmm?
that Dan said Celeste is too polite for After Dark, so we have to prove him wrong.
oh boy, wait. Wait,
Dan Murphy.
Yes, Dan Murphy, who is a contributor to the Boss Rush Network, he's a writer and he's been on some podcasts.
see,
He said
Them
Celeste is
fighting
too
words.
polite for After Dark, so shots have been fired.
first of all, if Dan actually showed up to more meetings where we're at, he would not say these words.
Oh, yeah.
Aw.
Boom.
Where we love you, Dan. We're picking on you. He
'Cause-
said I'm going to be great. He said I'm just kidding, but I have to prove him wrong. I have to be impolite.
Because Celeste is off the chain when it's not recording hours, which is
I know,
that's what After Dark is for. Like it's this is the 30th episode of After Dark. If you don't know, like basically this is the show that we save all the stuff that's not content appropriate for our anchor shows. So
Dude,
So
and
this is-
also like Celeste, weren't you the one that posted about like naked people riding bikes during Mardi Gras or something?
Oh, there is the bike race in New Orleans where they
Yeah.
that's
people I've never participated. I live an hour away from New Orleans in a small town, but it actually has a purpose. It's meant to catch people's attention and make them aware of cyclists so that they pay attention while they're driving. So it's a good cause, but it's also a little risque, but it's also New Orleans. So, but I swear, I've been going to New Orleans my whole life. I've never seen a naked person out and about.
okay.
Just letting you know. Just letting you know. It has its calm moments.
Well, I wait. So how far are you from like Mardi Gras area? Where's Mardi Gras happen at actually?
Everywhere. A bunch of cities. My city has Mardi Gras parades.
Okay,
New Orleans.
Wait, okay. Let me rephrase this. Where's all the debauchery happen? What city is that?
New
Urban
Orleans.
Street in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bourbon
New
Street.
Orleans. I wanted to make sure it was New Orleans because I didn't want to say something and then look all ignorant.
No, did you know that the first Mardi Gras parade in the United States was in Mobile, Alabama?
Hmm.
No, I did not know that.
Mhm. Yes, but New Orleans, I've actually never been to a New Orleans Mardi Gras parade because we have parades here and they're more family friendly. I mean, people still drink
Yeah.
and have fun. Yeah, we'll have to have an After Dark episode about Mardi Gras because I was in
Yeah.
marching band and had to march in the parades and
Mm.
but it's fun. It's a big celebration and it's funny because I can segue this into a topic Stephanie and I brought up to talk about. Mardi Gras is a season. It starts January 6th, the Feast of the Epiphany, and it lasts until Mardi Gras Day, which is the day before Ash Wednesday. My area is a very Catholic area. And this goes into a topic that Stephanie and I would like to discuss, and that would be Catholic schoolgirl experience.
All right. Here we go. It's our
Thank you.
first
Good job, LeRon. Good job.
Well, you know what? I'll let y'all have more experience than I do, so I'll let y'all have the floor. I mean, you basically have had the floor most of the episode anyway.
Stephanie, you're a regular host, so let's get started.
Me? Well, I think my experience may not be as funny, but I guess I went to a private Catholic, all-girl Catholic school from 7th grade to senior year of high school. My parents plucked me out of junior high, or is that middle school, 6th grade? Is that junior high?
Um,
I think it's junior high.
Yeah, junior high.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
junior
know.
high.
Depends. I've heard different terms for it.
Like 7th to I know 7th to 8th for a lot of schools are considered junior high.
Actually, you know what?
And then there are some schools that 8th grade is considered high school. I don't get it, but
Yeah. Actually, now that I say that, I actually have to backpedal. I've been in a Catholic school since 4th grade, I think, except that was co-ed. Believe it or not, it was because not I guess because when I was that young, I clearly had no control about my life and where my life was going. But I was in public school, and then I was on the school bus, and this is the dumbest thing. Okay, get ready for this. These kids were singing a quote unquote naughty song on the school bus. And what I mean by naughty song, it's like talking about a girl leaving a bra in the car. Like it's like not like really that bad compared to what
Yeah,
kids
it's
are
not
probably.
bad at all, actually.
But the point is, I was the kid that like I was shy and I wasn't popular, so I wanted to join in on the singing because everyone else was singing and I wanted to make friends. So I learned the song and we all sang on the school bus. I got called to the principal's office later. All the kids decided to tattle on me, saying I was the only one singing that song with the bad words or whatever in it. So I got in trouble for saying the word bra at a public school. Okay.
Hmm.
You think that would be at the Catholic school, but no, I got called to principals, and apparently my mom threw a fit. I kind of wish I was there for that. And she pulled me out of school for that. Um, I mean, the kids weren't nice to me in general, so I think my mom just didn't see this going in the right direction. So she just gave the school a big middle finger and being like, you know what? Seriously, you're gonna punish my daughter just because she said the word bra. There's so many worse things to say, and B, it wasn't just her, but my daughter's the only one that got in trouble.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what she.
I just want to say real quickly, that's like some of the most repressed bullshit I've ever heard.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if this was like this at any other but public school, I was shocked. Like now that I think about it, like,
Mhm.
oh, brah, big fucking deal. Like I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like I didn't even say boob or titty. Like it was bra. Like I don't get it. Um, so yeah, then I went to co-ed Catholic school. That was fine. I mean, really, we just wore uniforms. Um, I did learn about Holy Communion, and I'm sorry if this starts getting kind of long and rambly. I'll break after I kind of give my summary. Uh, my parents didn't baptize me. My dad's Catholic, but he had a falling out with the Catholic Church, so he did not raise me Catholic. But I
Mhm.
saw everyone getting communion. I'm like, I want to have communion, and I actually asked to get baptized, so I got baptized. I got communion. Wore uniforms. Not a big. I honestly didn't care. Like whatever. Then my mom plucked me out of that school where I had all my friends in 6th grade because that school went up to 8th grade. So I was very mad at my parents for
Oh yeah.
disrupting. That's the age where you actually really care about the friends that you made.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but to an all-girl school, I was bullshit. I'm like, all-girl school shows you'll be distracted by boys. I'm like, are you serious? So I kind of had a problem with that. But I will say going to Ursuline, that was my high school, or whatever you want to call it, from 7th to 12th, for the most part, actually was a good experience. There's a lot of stuff to joke about with like Catholic school and being going to all girl Catholic school, which we'll get into. But that's kind of like how I got there. Sorry for the long ass story.
No, it
nah.
set the stage.
Yeah, so that's kind of the setup. How about you, Celeste? What's your overall experience and how long you been there?
I went to Catholic school K through 12.
Oh wow.
Mm.
Co-ed the entire time. Um, the schools would go K through 7th, and then the two local high schools, the Catholic schools, are 8th through 12th. And it's funny you said Ursuline. I believe there's an Ursuline school in New Orleans. New Orleans has a lot of the single gender Catholic high schools, all girls or all boys, like Holy Cross, Brother Martin, Ursuline Academy. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But yeah, I went to Catholic school until I went to university.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
At any point, did you ever think like, why can't I be in like the public school? Like, was there any like kids in the neighborhood? Did they ever behave differently towards you because you went to Catholic school? Because I kind of went through that. Like, all the kids in my neighborhood went to public school. I went to the private school, and they shit on me so hard. And I wasn't even acting like
That
I was better than
sucks.
them. They're just like, oh, you think you're so great with your uniform. I'm like, no, I actually hate it. Like, why won't you play with me?
So that's another unique experience I had. I grew up on a private lane where it was all family, and I
Mm,
just had a few cousins, so I didn't have that experience
oh
of
wow.
like neighborhood kids or
Uh,
anything. There weren't that many kids on my street of like 5 or 6 houses. And my mom was a kindergarten teacher in the public school system, actually.
oh wow.
And I went to Catholic school. My two younger sisters went to Catholic school. I loved the uniform aspect because it was very easy to know what I was going to wear every day. I mean, I can't compare it to public school. My boyfriend went to public school and he's like, yeah, we had fights sometimes. And I'm like, I've never seen a fight in my life.
Whoa.
I don't think I've ever seen a fight in my life. But I mean, honestly, we were just kids. My friends and I would talk about video games, talk about boys, talk about movies. I mean, I also was raised Catholic. So in addition to going to Catholic school, I had to go to, what is it called? Catechism or something during the week
Mhm.
where I could receive the sacraments. I was married before. I was married in the Catholic Church. I'm divorced, but according to the Catholic Church, I am still married because I did not have it annulled. I'm no longer a practicing Catholic. My area in Southern Louisiana is highly influenced by Catholicism, highly influenced. But I have to be honest, I mean, I don't find it very restrictive. I find it very laissez-faire, like live and let live, do whatever you want to do. But I don't know, like, is that how it is where you live, Stephanie? Is it kind of like live and let live, or do you find it's very strict, the culture?
Catholic culture,
Yeah, is it a very Catholic area where you live, or
New England, but
more Protestant?
and I would say Catholic, like specifically Catholic, not Christian, like the churches, I think it depends. Like, for example, the Catholic Church in one of the towns that I used to live in wouldn't marry Dimitri and I because he like was an Orthodox like it was like really just no offense, like that's kind of like anal and like old
Yes,
school.
yeah,
Whereas
a
like
lot of them are like that.
other churches, they're like, yeah, he was baptized, no big deal. And like that's why like finally, and I don't mind, honestly, I don't mind going to church. I just have to be at the right church. So there I actually go to my Catholic church in my current town because the priest there is actually awesome. His homily is just like more applicable to real life stuff and not, hey, let's shame you into doing stuff. It's more like, hey, you know what? Bottom line is just you'll be a damn fucking good person, and that's all he really kind of cares about. And that's the kind of teaching that the reason why I still quote unquote practice Catholicism. But obviously, perspective is in the eye of the beholder. If you ask like a traditional Catholic, probably not, because I too am divorced, right? But I mean, who is supposed to be enforcing not just Catholicism but any religion? Who's really enforcing it? Other people, or like who are also flawed?
Yes,
And
yes, and yes.
yeah,
and that's a teaching of the Catholic Church that the Pope is supposed to be infallible, which I have a lot of issues with.
Okay, now even I'm not Catholic, and I know that is I'm not gonna say the word, but
yeah. So that's how I view it. Like all people, they're flawed, and that's why when bad things happen to various institutions, which I will not bring up because that's a lot of ugly type of discussions.
yeah,
I feel that it depends on like you gotta I personally like separating the people who made these decisions versus the actual
versus the
infrastructure.
the body, yeah.
So like when I think of Catholicism, we all know there's that horrible way of the mishandling of the sexual abuse, like horribly grossly mishandled.
Yeah.
I personally, and now this is not, I'm not discounting it because I know someone personally who has unfortunately been abused. I feel like yes, it was definitely mishandled, but if the way I look at it is like Catholicism, the religion, is not the force behind that evil. It's those
Yeah.
people that are
It's the people
behaving
who
evil.
it's the
Yeah.
people well it's one it's the people who's behaving badly and perpetrating that stuff, and it's the people who do not hold accountability to the
Yep.
ones that actually are at fault. And then it's also the people who do not do the checks and balances on on everything. Like, you know, like
Yep.
it's one of those things, like, you know, like when it comes to when it comes to like exploitation and sexual abuse and stuff like that, like, you know, like there's levels to like where you can get in and stop this stuff at. I mean, you know, like if it actually happens, you know, yeah, it is definitely a terrible thing. It should not happen to anybody and stuff like that. But, you know, the fact that, you know, we look at it sometimes, you know, when I heard when I heard the thing about how like they how like this one I don't know like the actual, like, you know, like the positions and, like, you know, like, you know, you got the Pope, and, you know, like you got the archbishops and all that. I don't know all the different levels that they go up to and stuff like that. But when I heard about the 83-year-old who, after he died, he was like in a higher position in church. After he died, then the church went ahead and said something about it, and I was like, are you insane? Like, you held on to this for so long, and, you know, like the guy was 83 years old. I don't think he was I don't think he was diddling, like young children, in his 80s, but like they had to have known about this for a long freaking time and stuff like that. And it's just infuriating and stuff like that, and just like you, Stephanie, I don't blame like the actual religion, more so than I blame the people who let it happen or swept it under the rug, or thought it was a phase and they were going to get out of it. Like this is like the Jim Jordan bullshit, when and with the college wrestling scandal and all that stuff. And of course, what's the guy's name at Penn State, like the Sandusky.
Oh,
Yeah, stuff like that. Like, no, like, if you don't want it to happen to your child, why the fuck are you letting it happen to somebody else's?
yeah.
Power. That's power, reputation.
You're not gonna
Yeah.
lose any power by opening your mouth and saying something about it, though. That's the thing about it. I don't
I know.
understand. I don't understand. But also, I also feel like people in a position of authority, when they know something is going on, they also use that as leverage over the people that they know are doing the wrong. Because then it's like, what? Well, this is coming up. I'll look the other way if you look the other way, and bullshit like that. Like it, and it's crazy that like religion is so monolithic that like but inherently we look at religion as being something of good people and things like that, because like the basic tenets of religion and stuff teaches people like to live their lives right, be kind, be well to their fellow man. And like we have like people who they either ignore the rule or they're just evil to begin with.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I don't want to get too sorry. I
Yeah,
brought that rabbit hole, but
I didn't want. I'm sorry.
no, don't. I mean, it's related.
We stepped into something I could actually talk about. I
No, it's
can't
good.
talk.
We want you to be involved in the conversation.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think another part of it too is people who are in that higher power or in a certain level of authority. There's almost like a sense of brotherhood, but like the wrong kind of brotherhood. Like, oh, we'll protect our own. Well, not if that person's committing pedophilia. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like it's we can definitely relate this in the same way that like look at how police take care of their own when they're doing like some of the most heinous shit to to people who cannot defend themselves and things like that. Hell, look at how our government acts, like certain parts of our government, and different parts of that body and stuff like that. I sent my boyfriend a TikTok because it was funny because it was a TikTok where it was like the government was like, hey, like if this were to happen, would you have our backs? And then basically it showed like every disenfranchised person saying, fuck no. It was funny. Like if I find it, I'll send it to y'all in chat or something. But it's hilarious. Like
Yeah.
but yeah,
that'd be good.
like I feel like every organization has a structure in place to where like they would rather they act like they act like it would hurt themselves if they were to snitch on the people who are doing the fucked up shit.
Yeah, but ultimately ended up alienating a lot of people in the Catholic Church. But
Yeah.
I do feel a big part of people's views of Catholicism, if they went to Catholic school, is the type of Catholic school you went to. So like Celeste, I'd love you to share too. I was fortunate enough to have a mostly positive experience at a Catholic school, because sometimes you can go to that wrong one where they pile it on a little too hard, and stuff like that. Like for me, I will tell the story till my last breath. My best friend, she's Hindu. So she doesn't even just believe in one God. She believes in several, like, you know what I'm saying? Like she believes in a polytheistic religion, and she went to this Catholic school. And in Catholic schools, you take religion, theology as a course. And one day we were in 8th grade and she raised her hand and asked the religion teacher, our Catholic teacher says, because it had something to do with like, oh, if you're baptized, like that's like to not make you go to heaven. I'm just, I don't have the right words for it, but baptism is associated with like the ability to go to heaven or something. And she goes, I'm Hindu. I'm not Catholic. What does that mean for me? Does that mean I don't go to heaven? And so I feel like there's two ways you can answer that. A crappy Catholic school, and I know that they're out there, they're like, yeah, you're going to hell, bitch. My teacher, bless her, she goes, I think whatever's going to happen is what you believe will happen. So she was very
That's a very
supportive.
open-minded
Yeah.
response.
Especially for a Catholic teacher, like a teaching religion. So that's why, because I had great Catholic role models. And here's another example. My senior teacher, she's also a religion teacher. At earlier, like the Catholic Church had an issue with like magic, like don't consume media that talks about magic because
Mhm.
magic and sorcery is bad and it's evil and associated with the devil. My religion teacher was obsessed with Lord of the Rings. Obsessed with Lord of the Rings. And
That's wild to hear that, because I don't think it's just Catholic in general, because I remember my grandmother and just various different like elders in my family and stuff like that, like they wouldn't believe in like any of the kids watching like stuff like Harry Potter. Like I feel like the Wizard of Oz was like taking a step too far back then. But I remember like my grandma, like rest her soul, she flipped out on me as I was watching Star Trek. And number one, she didn't quite understand it. She didn't quite understand what I was watching. And then when I tell her, all of a sudden she starts quoting all this scripture about like alien beings and stuff, and being a sign of trickery from the devil to get people to like stray away from like everything else. I was like, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's not that deep. But of course, like I'm trying to defend like the one show I love and everything. And next thing you know, she's got my mom on the phone talking about I have no manners and I'm back talking her and all this stuff. And
oh, LeRon, I'm so sorry,
yeah,
but I can relate. So yeah, maybe it's like either like old school / any type of like really religious person. And that's why I liked her, because I went up to her myself. I didn't want to necessarily challenge her to be a dick, but I just, because that was the time where I wanted to write my novel, but it was going to be fantasy based. And I said, I thought like, the Bible, whatever, like sorcery is evil, whatever. She goes, you know what? If you have that kind of, and again, I'm paraphrasing, that mental capacity to understand that it's just a story, and you're not actually
there you go.
believing like I'm going to go worship the devil and conjure a spell, it's fine, because you're not actually believing it. You're just enjoying a story. If you're doing it for the sake of storytelling, where's the evil in that? And I'm
Yeah.
like,
You had one of the good ones.
I know. So that's why I feel like people can have either a very positive or very negative experience, and that could heavily influence their
Yeah.
religious outlook in life, for example. So how about you, Celeste? Did you have some pretty open-minded or not so open-minded faculty at your school?
A mix. My ninth grade English teacher was obsessed with Lord of the Rings.
Mm,
She was also very Catholic. Our valedictorian was Hindu, actually,
nice.
of my graduating class. It was kind of a mix. I think I had a pretty positive experience. There are things that messed me up a little bit, like with the human sexuality aspect. I am straight. I'm cisgender female, but I struggled with the whole purity aspect. When I was in eighth grade, we had to sign a little document saying we were going to save ourselves from marriage. We got chastity rings. I used to wear it on my left ring finger, and the idea was that you would give it to your spouse on your wedding night and stuff. But my parents, although they're Catholic,
Hold up, wait a minute. Hold up, wait a minute. So on your on your wedding night, you give it over to your spouse, and that's basically saying like they have permission to take your virginity or whatnot, or basically like you
I
can you
saved
finally
myself.
you save your thank you, because I was about to get perverted.
No, well, what's okay, the crazy thing is, so I struggled a lot because in the things that we read, you're not supposed to masturbate. You're not supposed to do a lot of heavy
Hmm.
petting or touching until you're married. My parents are extremely, I would say, for being Catholic, they're very progressive and open-minded. Like my mom used to say, not so much when I was a teenager, not like they were encouraging me to go out and do things, but they were like, if you have a boyfriend and you want to do things, please let us know. Please use protection. Please do,
You had
do what you
sensible
have to
parents.
do.
You had sensible
Yeah.
parents. You didn't have like God-fearing parents.
No, no, no. But the thing is, in my mind, it warped me. Like
Mm.
I will say it right here. I struggled with the idea of my boyfriends throughout time. Oh God, what if they're looking at porn? Does that mean they don't love me? Because in the Catholic faith, when probably a lot of Christianity, you're not supposed to look at that. You're not supposed to have those kinds of thoughts about other people.
Hmm.
So I struggled a lot with that. I struggled with the idea of letting one of my first boyfriends touch my chest. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm going to hell. Like it gave me a lot of anxiety, but that was on me because a lot of my classmates, unless they were quiet about it, they just seemed to be having fun. I mean, there were kids in my grade who were probably doing drugs, probably having sex, probably doing things that teenagers do. I was just very sheltered because I also grew up again on a little private family lane. So yeah. But I had good experiences. I mean, I was very involved in school. I was in a bunch of different clubs. I was very academic. I felt like I could be myself. I did, but I will say my senior year, we were supposed to learn about world religions in religion class. And the bishop of our diocese said, oh no, we want the seniors to be able to defend their Catholic faith when they step out into the big bad world. So we had to do apologetics. Did you have to do that, Stephanie?
I did not.
Okay. So we had to study the Bible and the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which, if you're not familiar with Catholicism and Protestantism, that's one of the many things that separates Catholicism from Protestantism, where a lot of Protestants interpret the Bible literally and believe that is the scriptura sola, the scripture alone, where the Catholic faith takes elements of the Bible and then also has its traditional beliefs. But that's a discussion for another time. So we had to answer like 20 something questions referencing the Bible and the Catechism of the Catholic Church. And were you taught by lay people or nuns, brothers, priests?
I had both lay people and nuns, which is ironic because it's not like the nuns taught the religion necessarily.
What's a lay person? I've never heard that term before.
Non-clergy.
Non-clergy.
Okay.
We can also use that terminology in the medical field. Like, please describe this in a layman's term. Like, because we have.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, it's a good question, LeRon. Thank you for that.
No, I never. Well, I will say this, like I'm not the most deeply religious person. I grew up, in religion, but I didn't. At a certain age, like science just clicked for me, like it was one of those things where it was like, it's kind of one of those things where, and I don't want to insult anybody, including you ladies tonight. It's just one of those things, as I started, hitting the books in school and stuff like that, and we started learning about the building blocks of life and how things go and stuff like that. There are certain things about religion that, that we learn in religious theology that, stacks up, and then there's other things like, wait, this makes zero sense, and, it's not that I'm mocking religion or anything like that, just like, our human understanding of science helps us to understand how the world is, how our bodies are and stuff like that. So yeah, so when I got to a certain age where book learning actually influenced me and stuff like that. That's when I started getting away from religion and stuff like that. So hearing lay person, I'd never heard that terminology before, because I guess by that point I wasn't deep into learning all that stuff, which is funny because if I tell myself, if I actually decide to go to college, because I joined the military right out of high school and just never looked back at the education system. If I were to go to college, I definitely would take as electives some religious theology courses, because I want to be able to have a better understanding, of how religion is, how things go, and how people interpret and understand it. I also went on my way to buy a King James version of the Bible, because number one, the Bible always, when I was younger, the Bible always ran me in circles. Because of the old English dialogue and stuff like that. It was one of those things it's like fuck, I just want to be able to read the story, which is why, when my parents gave me a children's Bible, and and children's Bible basically has all the greatest hits, but it's actually a story format, stuff like that. My children's Bible was maybe about that thick, and it was like a picture book basically, but there were for every picture there was at least 4 or 5 paragraphs that you had to read and stuff like that. So I learned about the burning bush, the parting of the sea, of course, Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. I learned about all this, all like I said, all the greatest hits. It even has some of the dark stuff, the whole "Let My People Go," the frogs come, the rivers of blood, the boils and all that stuff. It had all that stuff, yeah. But yeah, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent. It's just
no.
When y'all said layperson, I was like, I never heard that one before.
Well, I think it's religions in general fascinate me, and I think it is good to be well-rounded and understand them because they're referenced so much. They've influenced so much culture. They're in art. They're in books. They're in video games. They're in sayings.
That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
When you said that you wound up taking like a whole bunch of like religious study, like religious study courses. Well, you had the one course that basically studied other religions and stuff like that. I thought that was, huh?
Well,
Oh.
we were supposed to.
Oh, supposed to. Oh no.
Yes.
Okay.
So the bishop wanted us to be able to defend our Catholic faith after we graduated.
Uh-huh.
So I did ask my teacher, can I please take the textbook of the world religions home so that I can read it on my own personal time?
Mm-hmm.
But in class, we had to do apologetics, which you answer these questions about Catholicism. And something that made me very upset was one of the questions was Catholics believe this, Protestants believe this. And it wasn't what's the difference, it was which is correct, which enraged me. Enraged me.
That's the dangerous part about religion, and that's kind of what's wrong with the country right now. Because basically like the country was founded, like we declared our independence on the ability to be able to worship however we wanted to. But for some strange reason, this day and age, like why is the de facto religion for the United States Christianity? That makes zero sense given that like we welcome and allow people to worship and like have their own faiths and stuff like that. So yeah, I would have been just as pissed off as you were and sitting in that classroom doing that, because it's like no, like that basically puts people on a dangerous path to where like they will endanger other people's lives, whether they know it or whether they intend to or not. They will do that. Yeah. I'd have been pissed too. I probably would have had a conversation with my parents like, I'm about to walk out on this. Like when I graduate, I'm done.
Yeah, I was not happy with it. And so you'd have to study like 20 something questions. I don't remember the amount. And then you'd be pulled out of religion class and have to go to one of the brothers. We had a mixture of lay people and a few brothers, and there was like one nun, but mostly lay people. And we, I don't remember what the question was, but you had to be able to answer it to pass that year. Yeah. So, but did I have a bad there were some bad experiences, some good experiences. I don't know. LeRon, do you have any specific questions about our experiences?
The one thing I try to do is I try to judge any religion, just because like number one, like I consider myself pretty agnostic. Like, like I have kind of like a belief that there is like a higher power out there, and I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for every other agnostic or atheist person out there. I don't believe that higher power actually like gives that big of a shit. Like I think honestly, like if we want to look at like God or any deity and stuff like that, like they're doing their own thing, just like we're doing our own thing, stuff like that. Yeah, there are some things, that, make, it's like, okay, yeah, this is God's design or God's will and stuff like that. The one thing I would probably ask both of you is what is one of your biggest takeaways, from your actual Catholic religion? What's one of your biggest takeaways? It can be good or bad. It can be positive or negative or whatnot.
Religion or school?
School. My bad. Well, hold on. So wait, okay. So going to Catholic school, was it like a church school or was it like a school where they had some church teachings in it?
Ladder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, you just cleared up a big misconception to me because I thought it was just like, like.
So like I would. Okay, I went to school from whatever time to whatever time, and then I'd go to band practice after. I mean, I had English, I had a religion class, I had PE, I had math, I had science.
Right.
My high school was also considered college prep, so a lot of people, even if they were not Catholic, a lot of people sent their kids to that school because they wanted them to do. Now again, I can't compare it. And I don't think, and there were a lot of dumbasses that I went to school with. Okay?
Right.
Every school has that.
There's a perception, and I do agree that it's kind of not all true, but a little true, is that private school, which happens to be Catholic, they're doing it more for the quality of education over public school, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I do quote because I don't want to. I'm not down to public school.
That's what I've heard too. It's
okay. So
thanks for clearing up that misconception because
Yes.
the only real experience I've had with Catholic school is watching Sister Act 2, and that and in all honesty, that didn't give me enough of a basis to say like what Catholic school is, if you know what I mean.
It's school. I mean, we went to lunch. Now when I was in elementary school, Stephanie, I don't know if you did this. During Lent, we could not talk at lunchtime. That was our
Nope.
penance for
Ooh,
Lent.
ooh,
Now that's just
that's
elementary
crazy.
school. That's just elementary school. And high
How
school,
you got
they let go.
how are you gonna like you tell a bunch of small kids that you have to shut up during lunch period?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could still talk.
It was a little strict. It was like that was our penance.
Y'all might as well just take naps if you want
Oh,
people.
well, yeah. So like we have mass at school on holy days. When I was in elementary school, they had mass every Friday. When I was in high school, it was a few times a month or like special days. There was at my high school there is a chapel on campus where you could go to lunchtime mass. It was like a shortened version of mass, and I would go sometimes. And you could also do holy adoration. Stephanie probably is very familiar with that, where you can go and the Eucharist, the body of Christ, the little bread piece, is in this beautiful, ornate, golden, I don't know the term, what it's called. Do you know, Stephanie? I cannot think of the name of the object.
I know what you're talking about, and I feel really ashamed that I don't know right now.
I cannot remember, but it's
in
out
this
on
gold
display
thing. Yeah.
on the altar, and it's quiet. It's a moment of reflection, which honestly, sometimes, even if you don't want to think about Jesus, it would probably be a good time just to go and you're in this beautiful, quiet space, just relax, meditate. A lot of churches have adoration chapels where you can go and do that 24/7.
Yeah, the way I viewed how the experience is really different than the public school is there was a uniform. And for me, it was all girls. We had a religion class. I don't think public schools have any sort of religion class of any kind. And yeah, we do have church services once in a while. They offer like the sacrament of reconciliation when the time. So there's like Catholic adjacent stuff you can do, but it still functions like a traditional school, but like with the Catholic adjacent stuff. There were tons of
Yes.
non-Catholics at this school.
Oh yeah. Oh, we started every class with a prayer. The teacher had to lead us in a prayer. So you walk into English class.
Every class?
Every single class.
That's
You go to computer science, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, blah blah blah.
Oh, we didn't do that.
Every single class. But you know what?
Maybe I'm overthinking it too much as an adult because like damn, that'd be like saying the Pledge of Allegiance each time you walk into a different class.
Basically. But I did like some of my teachers, instead of it just being a rote prayer like Hail Mary, Our Father, like one you just recite and just say without thinking, some of them would actually read, like Stephanie was talking about, real life situations and how to connect that to your faith. So it was a nice way to start class a little bit. Yeah, and my band had a patron saint that they assumed, actually. They chose Saint Therese of Lisieux, the little saint. Are y'all familiar with her?
No.
What's her name again?
Saint Therese Lisieux, Saint Teresa Lisieux. She was a French woman. She died when she was 24.
Ooh.
And Blonde, are you familiar with saints?
No, not really.
Not the football team.
No, I know what you meant. No, I don't. You know, it's funny. It's funny you're asking me these questions because like I do have a fascination with religion, and for a while I was actually writing story ideas down because I want to make like a fiction series that like revolved around like some people who have some faith, and there's a couple of fallen angels involved and all that stuff, and it was also going to be a way for me to actually like sit down and like read and study the Bible a little bit more, stuff like that, because even though I'm not religious, like I said, I have the fascination for it and stuff like that. So yeah, like one of the things I would have to learn how to do is learn about the saints.
Yeah, that's a point of contention for a lot of Protestants. According to Catholicism, you are not worshiping the saints. You are praying on you're asking for their intercession to talk to God for you, which honestly, I always kind of had a problem with. I was like, why can't I just talk to him myself?
I know. I feel like every religion I've dealt with, is like one of those things where like God will hear you wherever you're at if you want to talk,
Yeah, but so what fascinated me is what they symbolized. So like Saint Teresa, who was my band's patron saint, she was known as the little flower of Jesus. And something that I kind of took from that, even though I'm not practicing anymore, she was very sickly, and she was very upset that she couldn't do big things in life. She wanted to serve God. She wanted to do good things for other people. So then she realized, you know what? Even if I do something small, that's still loving. Even if I'm kind to someone, even if I'm not building a house or something, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is insignificant. So that I've reflected a lot on, and I don't know, if saints are fascinating. In fact, there's a cathedral in my city that has uh what's it called, Stephanie? Oh my God. It's like there's a piece of a dead saint's body.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. It starts with an R, I think. But you walk into the cathedral and there's this wax figure of her, and in that glass coffin, there somewhere in there is like a piece of her body.
I always thought it was a little creepy, but I get it.
It is creepy. It is creepy. It is a little creepy, and I do think it's it's fascinating. But yeah, it's interesting. But LeRon, yeah, you could write a whole lore based on all of these things.
The one thing that kind of stops me from doing it though is like, like I look at people take religion seriously, and I don't want anyone to think like I'm mocking their religion, because I'm gonna get a whole bunch of stuff wrong, because like I'm not a religious person. But then again, I don't think there's anybody out there that is religious that gets it 100% right. Like, you know what I mean?
No, we're human.
Yeah, like it, and like I feel like it is what it is. Like it's like our faith and our views of like religion and stuff are based on our interpretations, unless someone who has the exact knowledge is sitting us down and teaching us it. And there's nobody in the year 2022 on the, what day is it now? This is the 208th day of the year 2027. Like, there's nobody that knows the exact words, the exact scripture, and everything. And when I say the exact words and exact scripture, I'm talking about the original text, not the stuff that we get from our Bibles and stuff that we get from Sunday school teachings and all that stuff, So yeah, but like I said, it's the one thing that kind of like gives me a little bit of pause, because it's like I don't want people coming at in this hyper connected day and age we live in and stuff like that. If I were to start writing these books and become like bestsellers and stuff like that, like I would probably lose my mind if Kirk Cameron starts coming after me because like this shit ain't right.
I probably got some stuff wrong because I can't remember stuff.
And people just in general are just like politics is like the other branch of this. Don't discuss politics or religion. Either way, people get like just violently upset, whether it's you're being very religious and you're incorrect about something, or the opposite, which I also feel like whatever side you're experiencing can also shape how you are, because most people that I know that are atheists have like this terrible story, traumatizing story about like super religious people bashing them or telling them they're going to go to hell, and they're like, that's why I don't believe in God, because they're hypocrites. Then on the other side, and I happen to fall on this side, is every person that I met that was an atheist, not every person, I shouldn't say that. Like, I've unfortunately had instances where when I was younger, people who were atheists mocked me and made fun of me because my dad was Catholic and I just happened to go to a Catholic school. So I'm like,
that's also wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying both sides, and it really sucks. And I know that's not going to stop. Again, like, doesn't that sound a lot like politics, which we're not talking about, but it's like similar thing. And just like, goodness, can't we just, sorry, getting off topic, but
I think a lot of I knew a lot of people I went to school with, or the other Catholic schools in my area, they went through that angry atheist phase. They wanted to rebel, which I get, and I think it's important to question your beliefs and explore.
yes.
But you don't be an asshole. Like I'm not going to look at my 82-year-old grandmother who finds comfort in some aspects of Catholicism and tell her, like talk to her like she's stupid. That's very disrespectful.
The one thing I try to do when it comes to religion and stuff like that is like I try to always try to understand where people are coming from. Like, I don't just turn around and condemn, like for example, like I don't really want to bring politics into it, but a lot of political motivation seems to be behind like religion and stuff like that. I try to understand where they're coming from first before I turn around and say, okay, you're a fucking idiot if you think like the entire United States is going to live like this because you believe it, stuff like that. I try to understand where they're coming from at first, stuff like that, so I feel like that's I'm not trying to like put myself in a pedestal or anything, but I feel like that's one of the things that separates me from a lot of the knee-jerk atheists out there. I was like, you're just stupid because like you believe this thing, you don't question it. Like, now I feel like I honestly feel like everybody should question anything they hear, but because I think that's the key part of free will. It's not just doing what you feel like doing. It's taking the time to figure out if it's the actual right way for you to do it.
Yep. I think you would, if you end up going back to that religion or even a different religion, upon questioning, that's how you really test what you believe in, and that's
Yeah.
totally fine. But if you don't mind just changing gears, because I don't want to like miss out on this
Okay.
experience as well of going to Catholic school, is because it's an all-girls school, right? And my parents thought, oh, she won't be distracted by boys. Let me tell you about, I think going to an all-girls school made it worse.
Were you boy crazy?
Yes, I became boy crazy. And I'm like,
The
this is,
forbidden fruit.
well, yeah, I'm like, there's no boys around now. All I could do is think. It's like, that's like psychology right there. Because my mom, for example, she made me go to speech club, and I didn't want to, but she made me go to speech club, and we'd compete around different schools, including public schools. So there were boys there.
And you're
So,
always seeing and you're not just seeing boys, you're seeing different boys at different times.
dude, I will admit, at times there were probably some obsessions that were not healthy, and I feel like,
You're hormonal too at that age.
but I found a way around it because I liked drama club, but Ursuline only did musicals. I cannot sing. And I'm like, look, the all boys school Catholic Memorial a couple towns over are looking for female like students to be female characters in their play that's not a musical. So I go to Catholic Memorial all boys school every week so I
My
could be part of their
girl
drama
was
club.
cheating the system.
I love
Well,
it. I love it.
not cheating the system, making the system work. That's what it was.
Yeah, so I got to hang out with boys after school, just
You know-
surrounded by boys. I was excited.
You know, looking at myself now, like I am so glad that I never went to an all boys school. I'd be a fucking mess. I'd be a fucking mess. But the one cool thing I think about y'all's experience going to Catholic school is having a school uniform. Oh my God. Do you know the amount of pressure that takes off of people to to like look good and dress good and all this stuff? Like, oh my God, I've never been. I like dressing up and looking nice and stuff like that. But when I was younger, like I did not understand my mom's fascination with it about how like you had to look like this. You had school clothes versus day clothes and stuff like that. And I'm sitting here like it's just freaking clothes, like I'm not walking out of the house looking like like Oscar the Grouch in the garbage can. But at the same time, I'm like I just want to wear fucking clothes, and I feel like having a school uniform of all the schools I've been to, because I grew up military, so I've been in quote unquote military schools, which basically are just public schools except on military bases. They're not. It's nothing. There's a such thing as a military school, and that's the stuff, and that is the shit you see, in TV shows when like boys are being hard headed, and their parents ship them off and stuff like that. Yeah, there is that. I've never been any of those, but also like I would have loved to just gone to one school where I was like, hey, this is what you wear 4 days a week.
Yep, it's nice. We changed out for PE. We had very strict uniform policies too. Like your skirt couldn't be too short. You had to have the uniform approved shoes, the uniform approved shirt. We could not wear earrings. We could not wear nail
Say
polish.
Oh wow.
Say what?
We could wear makeup. Like I actually used to wear like black eyeliner and
Makeup,
like,
but no earrings.
You can wear makeup and no earrings. You can wear makeup and no nail polish.
They might have changed since then. I graduated in 2007, so it's quite possible things have chilled out. There were also my biggest takeaway, like you asked, LeRon, I'm very thankful. I know my parents, they sent 3 girls to Catholic school. I know that wasn't cheap. I am grateful for the memories and the friends I made. But I will say something I learned is it's very interesting for a religion that preaches humility, and its leader, Jesus Christ, says you must forfeit all earthly goods to enter the kingdom of heaven. There sure was a lot of materialism in my Catholic school. A lot
really?
of people. Oh yeah, people like they're nice.
Shit.
They're nice cars, like the people who could drive in high school. Having mommy and daddy bought those nice trucks, those nice vehicles. Not everybody, like
No, but I gotcha.
My dad worked offshore.
Y'all heard about the preacher and his wife in New York that got robbed for like over $30,000 in like jewelry and like
Oh yeah.
Like it's like
Oh wow.
it's like I think there's a lesson somewhere about like being opulent in your lifestyle.
Yes, and a lot of Catholic schools really like their donors.
Oh yeah.
for sure. They'll name a football field after them. They'll name a building, a room after them. I mean, again, I did not have a bad experience. I was not treated any differently just because my parents weren't quote unquote elite. I was a good student and I got along with people. But it's interesting how appearances are a big deal. That's all I'll
Yeah,
say.
I get it. And yeah, it does come with a heavy price because my parents are already jumping down my throat about, aren't you going to send your son to Severian, which is an all boys school? And I'm like, listen,
Um,
I'm not opposed to it actually, but the problem is I can't afford it.
it's expensive.
They're
And
like, you're a pharmacist. I'm like, I still can't afford it.
like, do you
Yeah.
want him to do other things besides go to school? I mean, it costs money. I don't know how much it is now. It's probably, I mean, it also depends on where you live as
Yeah.
well.
Let me we'll keep talking and I'll check out what the tuition is.
So, LeRon, though, but I feel like we talked a lot about ourselves.
I mean, like I said, I really wish I could have added to this conversation, but it was fascinating because like I love learning about this stuff. I do. Like, what's up, Stephanie? You
How
found out?
much?
When I'm talking about Severian, the Severian Board of Trustees has confirmed tuition for the 21-22 school year at $16,300 per student.
For elementary school?
Uh, that's in general. I could dig deeper, but let's just ballpark that. 16 grand a year.
For 12 years?
Well, let's see. Severian, at least locally, I think that might be just high school, but Ursuline goes from 7th grade on. But still,
And then the prices go up a lot of times while they're in school. You could end up paying
yeah,
more.
I don't know how I feel about that. So,
16,000.
my son's going to public school, y'all, and that's okay by me.
You know what? Honestly, I would if I had kids, I would definitely think about private school versus public school. But the one thing I will say, I feel like, and I guess this can be our swing into our next topic before we get out of here tonight. When it comes to like like how you want your kids to be educated and stuff like that, I've thought about private school versus public school versus homeschooling and stuff like that, and I'll say this, like, like I'm gonna sound like one of those. I'm gonna sound like one of those memes. Well, I went to a public school, so there's no problem with my kid going to public school. But the one thing I feel like is the private school will definitely get you the better education and a better focus on the academics and stuff like that. Whereas public school, you'll still get educated and stuff like that. It might be a little crazy because like we're all part of the American like public school system at that point. But the one thing I will say is public school will definitely, if you have a well-adjusted kid, and like sometimes having a well-adjusted kid means that you as a parent have a a more hands-on approach. Not by hands-on I mean like be a helicopter parent or a tiger mom or whatever, like just have a more hands-on approach, like help your children understand how the world is and stuff like that. Like like the one thing that kids should benefit from is being sociable, having social skills, being able to work for other people, because homeschool, and this is nothing against homeschooling, but I feel like when you pull kids out, homeschooling, I think, can be a good factor. I believe it can be. But the one thing about homeschooling is you need to know your child. You need to know if your child is benefiting from, having like the structured environment of being able to like be focused and study at home, or if they need to have the social, be able to get out there and do the social interaction and stuff like that, and I have some friends who their children are being homeschooled and stuff like that. And I've got one friend that's like, I'm worried about your son, because like I feel like, and I can't tell anybody how to raise their kids, stuff like that. But I also feel like, based on my upbringing and stuff, like by the time he gets to an adult age, there's going to be some things that he need to have some lessons on, and like that's where sociability and all that stuff, like that's where the school dynamic comes into stuff like that.
Well, yeah, life and social skills. Yeah.
Yeah, not saying homeschooling is bad, because
Right.
sometimes kids are not built for actual any type of school, like public or private school and stuff like that. Like because some kids are just wired differently, and like there's too much distraction by having other people there with them, stuff like that. It's it's an interesting dynamic and stuff like that. As far as like kids go, but I wonder about, I always think to myself, like if I were to have kids, like how would I deal with, getting them educated, and if I couldn't do a private school, get them in private school, I would definitely like do, public school. Like I wouldn't homeschool. Not unless my kid came and sat down and said, "Look, I cannot deal with school right now. Can I please be homeschooled?" And I'd be like, "Okay, here's the agreement. We're gonna do homeschooling for at least one school year, and then we're gonna come back and have this conversation again because like if you look at, and I'll just let them know, like if you look at people on the news or just look at the people of Florida, I want to make sure you're not one of those people." And
Yeah,
I know
dude.
somebody,
We love you, Florida. I
was about to say, I know somebody's listening to us from Florida right now. I was like, "Hey, that dude's an asshole." I can't
I'm pretty
believe
sure
that.
those Floridians know about the Florida man and stuff like that. Like it's no, I give parents that do their best with homeschooling. Like I know someone who homeschooled their kids. Like, holy crap, I don't think I could do it even if my son asked me to. I would lose my shit on day number 2. Like I can't. I mentally cannot. So good for you guys.
Stephanie just walk in his room. "You done with your work yet? Good, get out."
I can't. And my son he is actually a pretty good kid as far as like he's not a dickhead like some kids. Like he's actually pretty easy to deal with, but I still can't deal with no.
Based on the few times alone, like as we get ready for shows and stuff that I've seen him and stuff like that, he seems like he's a sweetheart. Like I guarantee you, like how old is he?
He is 6.5.
He's 6.5. So I guarantee you he has his moments where he's like pinging off the walls and all this stuff, and you're like, if I could give you a Quaalude and it would be legal, I would do it. I know he has some of those moments, but he seems like a really good kid.
No, he is. He's his level of hype. Like I've seen some really hyper kids, and I think you're not saying whether you're religious or not. Like God will only give you what you can handle. There's a reason God gave me an easy child because I am not capable of handling a hyperactive kid. He's just very sassy. If anything, he's very sassy. Anyway, but that would be like maybe for the next show about a topic because I'll give you a preview. My son and I were riding our bike around the neighborhood, and kids his age, maybe like 1 year older, if anything, pulled out a brand new shiny iPhone. At around 7 years of age. I got a phone, and all 3 of them had phones. And my son turned to me, and goes, "How come I don't have a phone?" And I'm like, "Oh, here we go."
Get him a burner. Get him a burner phone.
And they were talking about like, my TikTok account. I'm like, you should not be talking like this at 7 years old.
Not 7 years old. No.
Anyway, sorry, but that'll be for another time.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's one we need to have Daddy Corey on too. Yeah. So no, like that was really enlightening, like to learn about some of this stuff because like I'm also not one of those people that like Catholic schools, people are like freaks or whatnot, like when I say freaks, I mean freaks in every spectrum, like sexually repressed or they don't know how to function in society, things like that, or even worse, they're like the people that like we wind up getting in our government and they impose all these religious rules and stuff like that, like so no, like I'm glad y'all want to talk about it tonight, like I mean because I think you are the 2 people I don't know anyone else that's been to a Catholic school. I don't know anyone.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Well, I may have to probe some of my friends and be like, "Hey, like what type of school did you go to growing up and stuff like that?" But and then wind up getting the questions. Well, did you wind up going to a military school or were you at an all boys school? I was like, no, I was not at an all boys school. Why would you ask that question?
Yeah, and I think ultimately when people talk about it, I don't know how other people are shaped. There are various factors. School is one, but it's not the entire thing. You can meet someone that went from a public school and be like this kind of creepily religious person, and you can go to meet someone who went to a Catholic school their whole entire life and are a staunch atheist. Like there's how you were raised via your family, the groups of friends you have, and the school, and so it's just like a slice of the life pie that we're forced to eat.
That's a good way to put it.
That was it. That was me.
Thanks for having me on to talk about this.
Yeah, this was. It was nice to kind of rehash those days and also feel free to speak about it because, LeRon, I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of times where I'm very hesitant talking about anything Catholic related to my past or even my present. I never preach. Like, I'm never like, you should do this or you're going to hell. But just like the idea of talking about my religion gives me anxiety because I'm afraid I'm going to get attacked. And it was just nice to talk about it. The good and the bad.
Those people might need to look in the mirror, and they need some help if they're going to attack somebody. So come at me, I don't care.
All right, we ready to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, like I said, wonderful topic. Like I'm glad I was able to be a part of the conversation tonight. So we're gonna go ahead and roll credits on this thing. So I want to say, first of all, Celeste, thank you for wanting to join us tonight. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully you'll be back again.
Maybe I will be.
All right, so
Maybe.
All right, so if you don't know, this is Boss Rush After Dark, the new show for we're not new anymore. Like, this is episode 30, right? Yeah, we're not new anymore. But yeah, it's the show of the Boss Rush Network where we get together each and every week, talk with our friends, discuss things around. Like, hey, I'm doing housekeeping right now. Crazy. But as you know, like always, check us out. You can get early access to shows right now if you're an actual patron of Boss Rush Network. And as usual, before we head out, ladies, I think give y'all a chance to let people know how to get with and stay in contact with you. Celeste, you go first.
You can find me on Twitter at Fairy Crypt. Please send me all the cat pictures.
All right, Stephanie.
Y'all can find me on the internet's Twitter and Instagram at Klimov_author. And most Wednesday nights, on the Boss Rush podcast and other various podcasty shows here on the network.
All right, and as always, you can catch me basically everywhere just by looking up Exodus 803. So YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, PlayStation Network, Steam. And don't forget, Tuesday nights, I am the lead host for the Crossroads Video Games podcast, where we talk about PlayStation, PC, and Xbox gaming. It's been wonderful. We hope to see you again real soon. And everyone, have a good night. And just remember, come back and join us for our next installment of Boss Rush After Dark. We'll be back to talk about more topics that aren't always content appropriate for our anchor shows. We love you. Have a good night.
Bye.